Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. But no comics today, and like another review earlier in the year, that's by my choice instead of a Patreon-sponsored review. As I said in the last comic book quickies, I realized that I had forgotten to schedule a Mr. T review for this year. You can imagine my horror upon that realization. The last time that happened resulted in bad things in 2016, and I don't intend to let that ever happen again. But there really wasn't anything I wanted to swap out for Mr. T and the T-Force. And I can't swap out a Patreon-sponsored episode because people paid me to cover those. Now, eventually, I settled for the appearance in comic book quickies and pushing an episode to next year, but before I did that, Google came to the rescue. It's a Christmas miracle, everyone! Let's talk about cheesy television specials and the one Mr. T did with Webster. People forget nowadays, in an era of streaming services, prestige television, and just instant access to media without any commercials or bumpers or etc., that television used to be really frickin' weird. Anime characters on kids' TV blocks singing the United States national anthem. Making of specials for movies with linking segments featuring an actor from the movie as their character presenting the making of. A low-budget Roger Corman movie presented in chopped snippets in between monster movies and segments hosted by Roger Corman, who was also kind of playing himself in the movie. Television shows with their sponsors in the name of the show. Unique intros and interviews to pad out a remastered version of an old show because of changing commercial times. Channel ident bumpers that qualify as short films in their own right. And most especially, for the purposes of today's episode, cheesy variety shows. In case you somehow didn't know, a variety show is a program that doesn't necessarily have a story, it's more a showcase of various kinds of acts. Comedy sketches, music, acrobatics, magic, etc. For decades it worked for a lot of people just as an ongoing series. By the time the 1970s hit though, the American market for them is probably what shaped what most people think of as variety shows nowadays. Cheesy spectacle entertainment. Large stages where people are singing and dancing, glitz and sparkles, and everything is just so over the top. Partially because while there were plenty of ongoing ones around before the 70s, the ones that have endured in people's memories are the ones that are either still going, like Saturday Night Live, which is now 95% sketch comedy but was a bit more varied when it started, or just so utterly ridiculous and baffling that you can't help but wonder how the hell this happened. Like, for instance, the Star Wars Holiday Special. But that's the thing. While there were still regular variety show series happening, more commonly occurring were variety specials. One-off presentations for a holiday, to promote a band, or just because a comedian had nothing to do that week. Most notably in my eyes was that the Carpenters had several TV specials, a few Christmas ones, and one to promote their album Passage, called Space Encounters, which involves a framing story of aliens coming to Earth to try to learn how to make music. You see what I mean about the goofier aspects of TV? Where on a streaming service nowadays will you have a one-off special about a band needing to help disco aliens learn how to create music? Variety shows fell out of favor in the 80s, but they didn't entirely stop. Television specials continued, but in very different forms than just the straight-up variety show format. In particular, the Christmas special, because sometimes TV shows had a separate special completely removed from the regular lineup that would get more ratings. You see that still with, say, Doctor Who's holiday specials or the like, but those are basically a regular episode of the show, just longer and themed around the occasion. What we're talking about today are the one-offs, the stuff explicitly meant to be aired once and then never again. You get John Denver and the Muppets together to sing Christmas songs. You get Dolly Parton in a loosely connected series of vignettes about recording a Christmas album in July. You get Bob Hope doing semi-annual Christmas specials, one of them from Saudi Arabia, apparently. Told you that TV used to be frickin' weird. And then we have what we're talking about today, Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis in A Christmas Dream. Emmanuel Lewis was the star of Webster, a sitcom about a black kid getting adopted by a relatively rich white couple in the early 1980s. It was actually fairly popular in its heyday, lasting for 6 seasons, and, in fitting with our theme tonight of how bizarre TV used to be, had its final episode not as some wrap-up of story arcs or a big send-off to everything that had come before it, but rather a clip show. That was also a frickin' crossover with Star Trek The Next Generation!
You can't tell me that doesn't seem like fun.
Yes, I can.
Man, you're tough.
His presence in this special makes sense given the popularity of the sitcom at the time, plus he was just considered an adorable child actor, and back then, being cute and on TV was ratings gold. Although it should be noted that he was usually playing a character like half his age. Due to his height and voice, he just came across as much younger than he actually was. He's 13 in this special, but he looks and talks like he's only 5 or 6. It just makes it kind of weird and uncomfortable watching it when you know that. But hey, we're here for some lighthearted Christmas fun with Mr. T, so let's dig into A Christmas Dream, starring Emmanuel Lewis and first name Mr., middle name that period, last name T.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where Yuletide candles burn. Linkara's gonna give you all a present you've not earned. Not Mensch, you're not the brightest. Frank Miller, you're off the nice list. If you're a comic writer who misuses a license, your gift will be returned. Digging through the shelves for the kind of comic books that would turn Santa's elves into common crooks. He reads them and he weeps while down the chimney creeps. Bill Jammers with a Marvel trade to watch him when he sleeps. Linkara, he built a snowman, now it has a hole. Linkara, 8 maids a milking and a young blood troll. Linkara, only one Dickens homage away from going chestnuts. Linkara, this Christmas comic sucks.
With apologies for the video quality of this, as I said, these kind of specials were never meant to air more than once, so there's no official release of it. Just VHS rips that ended up on YouTube or archive.org, which will make it especially embarrassing if it gets Content ID claimed. NBC would want to preserve their right to make money on it, but not actually release it to sell. The special begins, at least in the recordings that I have of it, with NBC basically spoiling the plot and all the guest stars. Although I suppose they needed to sell it to the audience that was mad about Knight Rider not being on.
Michael and Kid are taking the night off to do some Christmas shopping.
You know, you could have combined the two, have Mr. T team up with Kit to save a kid on Christmas or something. I'd definitely tune in for that.
Mr. T needs some heavyweight magic to fill this tiny Scrooge with the Christmas spirit.
Mr. T contacts Dr. Strange to have 3 ghosts haunt this child.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
And the audience changes channel over to CBS for a new episode of Murder, She Wrote. We truly open with Mr. T in a Santa suit trying to raise money for Volunteers of America, a much better charity than the Salvation Army, and further evidence of Mr. T being the greatest of us all. Emmanuel Lewis walks up to him and asks if this is a good job.
Well, in July, it's not too good of a job.
Yeah, but only because they won't let you customize the outfit to be 4th of July themed. He asks the kid who would ask that kind of question to Santa this close to Christmas.
A kid that doesn't care too much about Christmas. And a lot of people agree with me.
There's this one rich kid named Scranton who's putting together a Christmas tree racket. I just hope Batman doesn't get involved.
Look at all those people who walk right by you. You think they care about Christmas?
Let it be known throughout the land, if you do not give money to a charity Santa worker, you hate Christmas. One person who definitely cares about it, though? New York Mayor Ed Koch.
Hiya, Santa. How am I doing?
Well, you died in 2013, so not that great, Ed. Sorry. Mr. T finally asks the kid who he is, and he introduces himself as Billy Johnson.
I have no family, just my parents and me.
I have no family, except for my family members. Mr. T wants to know why he doesn't have any Christmas spirit, and Billy explains that his parents aren't really much of a family because they don't do any traditional Christmas activities together. They're not even going to his school play tomorrow. They're probably working hard for you, sucker! Time for our first Christmas song! It's called Treat Your Mother Right, Holiday Remix!
You know what you got? You got BA. You know what BA stands for? Bad attitude.
And since I'm B.A. Baracus, I think that's a great thing. Mr. T thinks he has some friends who can help get this kid to like Christmas, and Billy accepts.
I'll bet you. I've got $1.
And those Webster residuals aren't really paying off, are they? Another Santa comes by to take over for Mr. T, who says he'll bring the kid to a toy store.
Then you can walk around the store while I change my clothes.
They have changing rooms at the toy store? Who said anything about a changing room? I just used the bike aisle. It's after this that we get the titles, which feel kind of late even though it's only 3 minutes in. I don't know, it just feels weird that our lead-in is a kid being slightly mopey and also Ed Koch. Anyway, Mr. T brings Billy to FAO Schwartz, where they're met by the sponsors listing.
Sponsored in part by all your friends at the Mattel Toy Company.
You weren't my friend when I asked you to help move that couch. And oh yeah, this copy I got includes the commercials too. Here's He-Man.
Take that! Just a dent. And that! More dents.
Ah, my favorite kind of toy. The one where we can pretend the hero's getting his ass kicked. Hey, this commercial is reminding me. We know who can instill the Christmas spirit in Billy.
But I must save the children.
Next is a commercial for Campbell's Soup, where a sheriff advises a guy at a diner to eat some soup because of this torn magazine ad that says it's good for you. That's enough of an argument for this guy to have some soup.
Kid, huh? Eat carefully.
What does the sheriff know about this guy that we don't? Is he liable to injure himself with it?
One Mr. Grady Miller drowned in his chicken soup.
Oh, yeah, there's an advertising slogan that took all week to come up with. What is this diner anyway?
I'm at soup!
Anyway, back to the special. Mr. T tells Billy he'll meet him in the magic section.
Oh, you gonna make something disappear?
Yeah, you! Can't have children who don't have Christmas spirit. It threatens my job as a charity Santa. Oh, and I guess the credits are continuing now, despite the titles being over. A whole commercial break just occurred, and we had some dialogue. But that's okay. How else would I know that Joseph Cates produced this? Anyway, we just follow Billy as he explores the toy store, including examining this terrifying Dizzy Gillespie toy and trying on a cowboy hat to stare at the camera creepily. Eventually, he makes his way to the toy section, where magician David Copperfield just hangs out, I guess.
Jessica, are you married?
Why would you ask that, David?
Do you have a boyfriend?
You're not allowed in any more toy stores, Copperfield!
Yes? Yeah? Did he ever break your heart?
The man is just ignoring everything this girl is saying, and that's creepy.
Do you want to see what you do when you get a broken heart?
Drink. Drink heavily. No, it's to, rip your heart up, compress it together, and then unfold it again? I don't think that's healthy, David. The girl is so unimpressed by this that the tape distorts. After letting her leave, Billy walks up to the guy. He says that Mr. T, or Benny as he's called, but let's be real, it's Mr. T playing himself, told him to watch him while he changed out of his Santa suit. After getting a quarter from Billy, David does a magic trick where it looks like a cigarette goes through the quarter.
You don't smoke, do you?
No way.
Good. Neither do I, but it's for the trick.
Now he is smoking in the children's toy store. Where is security to get David Copperfield out of here? He says that what he does isn't magic, it's just illusion. That real magic is in the heart. Or in flintlocks. He spots Mr. T nearby and tells Billy to go with him.
I hear you're going to be taking a handsome cab ride. I wish I was going with you.
Unfortunately, I'm a ghost that's forever trapped in this toy store. Long story, save it for another Christmas special. Mr. T brings Billy to a horse and buggy, explaining that they're going to head over to Rockefeller Center and that later they're going to a party.
And each year at this time, a bunch of my friends get together for what you call a Christmas celebration.
I mean, that's what you'd call it. I'd call it ritual child sacrifice. The two go back and forth, Mr. T explaining that his friends all wish they had parents to share Christmas with, but Billy responding that he doesn't spend Christmas with his family. He's a latchkey kid.
My parents leave in the morning, and I don't see them until at night.
Which is really weird because they're makeup vloggers. Mr. T points out that they're working to provide for him, but he counters that they might get him Christmas presents, but they don't spend enough time with him to actually learn what he wants. Inspired by Billy saying they got him a skateboard and all it resulted in was him falling on his ass repeatedly, Mr. T shows him the ice skating rink at Rockefeller Center, and professional skaters Randy Gardner and Ty Babylonia. These were listed guest stars for the special, but Ed Koch was not. Not to discount their athletic skills, of course, but it is weird what was considered a selling point in 1984. Point is, Mr. T thinks that maybe his parents wanted him to try something, and sometimes you don't start on top. Me, I'm just more confused because it's clear these shots of the two were filmed in the middle of the day, but I can see spotlights on the two skaters. What the hell? But yeah, ice skating is nice. Anyone thirsty for a Diet Coke all of a sudden? New Coke was introduced only a few months after this special, so I guess they weren't too confident about it being one of a kind. After a Rainbow Bright commercial, there's an ad for Disney plush toys at Hardee's, an alliance of evil if you hate Disney, Or in my case, just normal evil because Hardee's is awful. But anyway, what's going on today, tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow on Today, part 1 of a 5-part interview with Burt Reynolds. Also, Kyle MacLachlan, the young star of Dune.
Oh yeah, Dune came out 2 days before this special. The feel-good holiday film of the season.
We brought you a little cat, Thufa. You must care for it if you wish to live.
Anyway, back to the special. The two walk over to Radio City Music Hall to meet a friend of his who works there, though he also says they'll be using the rehearsal hall for the party. And we see that his friend is comedian Willie Tyler and his puppet Lester, called Jim and Louie here. Anyway, Mr. T wants to know if it's okay for Billy to come to the party too, but it's apparently up to the puppet.
But you're a dummy.
From what I hear, you're a bit of a dummy yourself.
Only idiots don't like Christmas. Go to hell, lonely, neglected child.
You gotta give me some information about yourself if you want to go inside.
Identity theft was a lot cuter when they had to use puppets to do it. Lester says that Billy's clearly got a chip on his shoulder, which, not really. The kid's been pretty reasonable so far, just kind of disinterested in Christmas because of absent parents. But yeah, Billy denies this.
I'm an expert on chips. I got chips all over my body.
You don't want to see Willie here when he gets mad. He takes it out on me.
But Christmas is great. People shopping, sending cards.
Christmas is great because of capitalism.
What did he ever get for Christmas?
Me. And we've been together ever since.
We may fight a lot, but we stay together because the sex is fantastic. They slyly learn where Billy's father works and his phone number. They invite Billy to go for a walk and get some air, but Billy wonders who's going to guard the entrance if they leave. Willie says he'll let his assistant Buster do it. Oh, good God.
Hey, Jim, I thought I told you to get rid of that thing. I like the other one better.
Stop trying to steal my soul, sucker!
Oh, yeah? Only got one thing to say to you, fool.
I'm actually your future self. This is what David Copperfield does to us.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too, little guy.
Then I take my fist and put my initials on your brain.
Does this mean the puppet's name is Mr. Lowercase t? Also, this is why I'm still just calling him Mr. T, because the puppet is supposed to be of Benny, but he looks and acts like Mr. T, not the sidewalk Santa guy. Benny hasn't used I pity the fool, or sucka, or any of Mr. T's catchphrases, yet they're treating this like the two are one and the same, thus he's still Mr. T regardless. Anywho, he has Willie call up the lead singer of the show, Maureen, who is definitely playing herself in this case, as its singer and actress Maureen McGovern. They send Billy off to Maureen's dressing room, checking with her first to see if it's okay. Mr. T is a class act all the way, and he asks if they think Billy has the Christmas spirit yet.
I don't think he's sold yet, but we'll keep trying.
And if he doesn't get it, then I'll swallow his soul.
Thanks, Buster, because I don't want to lose this one.
I mean, yeah, sure, lots of kids without families at all, poor kids, starving kids, but that's okay. Let's give special treatment to the one kid who's apparently perfectly well off, but is feeling kind of meh about the holidays. At the dressing room, Maureen is rehearsing some Christmas songs for the party, and Billy reveals he doesn't have any favorites.
Well, let me try to do something about that. Come on, sit down.
Maureen proceeds to sing The Christmas Shoes and further drives Billy away from the season. She sings Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and it's lovely, of course, though she uses the more common lyrics Frank Sinatra made to make it more joyful. I personally prefer the Judy Garland version. It's meant to be a sad song, some hopeful bits to it, but that it's gonna be rough until we get there, and I think that message is important and resonating. And if you're wondering why I'm spending time talking about that instead of cracking jokes, it's hard to riff on someone doing a good version of a song, and I'm kind of an opinionated windbag. Fun fact, the Judy Garland version is itself happier than the intended original lyrics, which writer Hugh Martin said had lines like, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas, it may be your last." I just realized they left the door open, so everyone else got a free concert out of this. Mr. T calls up and says he'll meet Billy again at the phone booth. However, when Billy gets there, Mr. T sends him off to check out the lobby while he calls up Billy's dad. The lobby is very big and impressive, which the special takes time to show off and play a big horn section. I guess it wasn't just Mattel sponsoring this. Billy overhears the Rockettes rehearsing in a nearby theater and goes off to watch them. And gets so bored watching them that he falls asleep. Tough crowd. Still, 25 minutes in, we finally reach the Christmas dream this special is named after. This does give a peek into how boring Billy's life must be, because his dream is just of the Rockettes doing the actual show in full costume as tin soldiers. I was going to ask if this is a really good use of your Rockettes cameo, having them perform as stiff toy soldiers who don't do any elaborate dance moves, but apparently the Parade of the Wooden Soldiers is notable enough to be featured on their Wikipedia page, so what the hell do I know? I mean, just saying, Billy is so bored of this that even in his dream his ghostly visage is asleep. I'm not trying to insult any of the people in this special. They're all talented, incredible performers. It's just one of those things where I have to question the creative choices for it. On that note, Billy is finally awoken from inside his dream and is dragged into the show, dressed up like one of the toy soldiers now too, so that he can murder the Rockettes with this cannon. Billy was soon court-martialed for his actions. Billy apparently slept for hours because Mr. T calls out to him that it's time to go to the party. You know what they should serve at this party? Campbell's soup.
When you're wet and cold and hungry, very few things are more satisfying than a hot, nourishing bowl of Campbell's tomato soup.
I mean, when you're wet, cold, and hungry, I'm pretty sure any hot food is going to be satisfying.
Go ahead and eat your soup while it's nice and hot. It's your favorite, Campbell's tomato.
Kid, huh? Eat carefully.
There's more soup!
After an M&M's commercial, no, not They Do Exist, we're still a decade off from that one, NBC has ads for the two specials airing after this one. Another Bob Hope one. Bob Hope's career was basically just specials at this point. Film an entire run of them at a time like a TV season. And one called Christmas in Washington.
I'm the government, I'm the government, I'm the reason nothing works.
And then a commercial for Slice Soda.
A burst of juice in every glass.
7-Up doesn't have juice.
Everyone talks about the direct fight of Pepsi and Coke in the Cola Wars, but no one talks about the thousands who died from the smaller conflict between Slice and 7-Up.
We got the taste, we got the twist.
Sprite doesn't have juice.
How many must die before you're satisfied, Slice?
We got the taste that no one has.
That's very true, since Slice's formula changed over the next several years to reduce the amount of juice in it, and eventually the original Slice branding was discontinued in the late 2000s with PepsiCo's push of Sierra Mist. So indeed, no one has that taste anymore. After a Perkins commercial, we get a shocking news preview.
Breaking the law with computers, the story at 10.
Doing illegal things with computers? What an absurd concept. Anyway, back to the special, which has this helpful title card here for anyone flipping over to it during the commercial breaks on ABC airing The Sting. The party is getting set up, and Mr. T tells Billy that some of Santa's helpers are aiding in this.
Like the elves.
No, little brother. They're called stagehands.
And the special is a sitcom now, complete with laugh track. What? Billy asks if they'll be exchanging different kinds of gifts.
No, they all exchange the same kind of present.
Weed.
Friendship. And it's the best gift in the world. Plus, it's free.
Look, Mr. T, you can just say that you couldn't afford anything. The economy sucks. We all get it. But in all seriousness, Mr. T explains that Christmas can mean more than the gifts, citing the specific example of growing up poor. Just having his parents alive and well on Christmas morning was enough to be grateful for. Having presents is nice, but Christmas without love and friendship sucks. This leads us into more singing.
Look, there's Maureen, rehearsing some of the songs she's gonna share with us later tonight.
But she's doing so in front of everyone else with full instrumental backing. Is that really a rehearsal at this point? She sings a little medley of Christmas songs, and shock of all shocks, the acclaimed singer is really damn good at her craft, and the performance is lovely, aside from a moment here or there where she's belting into this poor child's face and scatting as a transition between songs, and that's just a bit awkward to me. No joke, Maureen McGovern is kind of the best part of the special, just an amazing singer performing some old standards really well. Mind you, maybe my feelings about her songs are amplified because Billy admits that he does actually have a favorite Christmas song, and he's invited to sing it.
I'm not a singer.
Billy, I'm a singer all year round. But at Christmas time, everybody's a singer.
No, at Christmas time, everybody sings. That's a bit different, Maureen. He's not the worst, but I would not call it good, especially when, again, we just heard a professional Broadway singer belting it out a minute ago. That's right, Emmanuel, just keep looking at those cue cards and never blink. Good job. Billy asks Mr. T what he's gonna do at the party.
Well, my part comes in later, after everybody gets here.
Gonna get all these people to swear their allegiance to the T-Force. Back to the commercials. You call that dancing? Fortunately for us, we have a ninja-style dancer. Dude, what the hell? Everybody do the McDLT! Then some more He-Man toys, this time for that Snake Mountain playset that was hilariously used in that goofy old Deception of a Generation video.
Skeletor, the master of the universe.
But then more dancing, this time just about milk from the National Dairy Board. What about this one, man? Anything? During the commercial break, they finished setting up for the party and Mr. T changed into a suit.
I hope he does a good job. If he doesn't, who's gonna tell him?
A dead man, that's who. Mr. T's acting as a bit of a storyteller about the Nativity, while the American Boy Choir provides some background music, singing some more religious Christmas music like It Came Upon a Midnight Clear and O Little Town of Bethlehem.
The baby was going to be born, a baby the whole world had been waiting for, a baby that would change the entire world.
Twist of the evening? He's actually talking about Ed Koch.
Then the innkeeper said to Mary, "There's no room in the inn." Could you believe what this man said to Mary?
You know, you got a lot of mouth, and I got a lot of fists for your mouth.
Is Mr. T conducting the choir?
We even know what those presents were. They were gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Well, that's cool and all, but could they put a cigarette through a quarter? I think David Copperfield's got them beat.
Kings and queens, emperors and beggars, soldiers and thieves, they all came to that manger.
And that innkeeper was still an asshole about it! I think I missed the part in the Bible where dozens of people like soldiers and thieves showed up to see the baby. Anyway, Maureen McGovern joins in to sing Oh Holy Night, backed up by the choir, to once again show off that she was the best addition to this special.
We know that the baby laid in a manger, and we even know that he was wrapped in swaddling clothes.
Rockin' party so far, Mr. T. While the choir starts up Silent Night, Billy's parents enter. Unfortunately, Billy decides to join in. It is noticeably worse than his earlier attempt, probably because the song has a bit more range to it, and you need to hold notes longer.
But there's still just one thing we don't know about that night, and that is, did the baby smile?
Probably not after hearing Billy, no. His point is more that we should be kind and good and helpful and charitable to one another, and that's the only way we'll know that baby Jesus smiled. Well, either that or we assume that Mary at some point played the period equivalent of peekaboo with him. As they end out with O Come All Ye Faithful, we see this one kid singing directly into his candle for some reason. After the song, Billy asks one thing of Mr. T.
I'd like to go home. Would you take me home?
I hate to say it, Mr. T, but this party kind of blows. Mr. T says his parents can do so, revealing them to him. They hug, but Billy has one last bit of business. Ha! Sweet! Okay, everybody, you can all go home. I won the bet. This sucker fell for it.
He seems like a very nice kid. I hope he gets what he wants for Christmas.
I think he already did.
I slipped him a copy of the movie DC Cab. What every kid wants for Christmas. And so our special ends with everybody singing Joy to the World as Billy is led off by his parents, who take a moment to look at the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Plaza. Oh, and since we need a commercial break before the end credits, we get Barbie, Care Bear stickers at Pizza Hut, and most importantly, the A-Team.
Tuesday on the A-Team, who's got the guts to grab Mr. T's gold and chain him to Murdoch?
My guess? Steroid. Or those guys who stole Mr. T cereal. I also love that an instrumental version of Joy to the World starts playing over the credits, but then is immediately interrupted by NBC promoting the next few specials, before then quickly going back to the music. Great edit. I'm sure that won't be an issue the next time you air this. Oh, wait. This special is not that great. I mean, it's not awful or unbearable or anything, but it's just kind of nothing. Child hangs out with a few celebrities. He doesn't like Christmas because his parents aren't around a lot. They tell him about why Christmas is cool, talk about baby Jesus, sing some songs, the end. Doesn't really resolve the whole parents are never around thing, unless Mr. T read them the riot act about letting their young child wander around New York unsupervised, but that never happens on screen. It's certainly supposed to be just heartwarming and feel good, so the stakes aren't the least bit high, but the problem is Mr. T is at his best when he's dispensing stay in school kind of messages while also kicking some ass. The Mr. Rogers-esque side of Mr. T is nice and all, but it's easy to get bored when that's all we've got. Mr. T is at his best when he's yelling and beating up crooked landlords and drug dealers. That isn't to say the special doesn't have its moments. Mr. T going into detail about how presents don't make the season, but it being more about friendship and companionship are still good messages and delivered well. And as I said, Maureen McGovern is on her A game, but David Copperfield and Willie Tyler feel kind of out of place and wasted. Points for the terrifying Mr. T dummy though. But while I can certainly look at it from a more cynical, critical lens and say something like, This special is just flat and pointless. I can't deny that I had a lot of fun writing about it and riffing on it. And sometimes you just want some fun, heartwarming holiday cheer. Admittedly, I'd still recommend looking up Muppet Family Christmas instead of this, but still, this was fine. From all of us here at Atop the Fourth Wall, I wish you and yours a happy holidays. We'll be back next week with the end-of-year recap and list, looking at the top 15 goofiest superheroes of Atop the Fourth Wall, and saying goodbye to 2022. Merry Christmas, and may you suffer no fools to pity this season.
Now look in your pocket. I think you'll find something's back where it belongs.
And he pulls out a cigarette.
My mother has this funny rule about staying in my own century. Do you think you could beam me back to Earth?
No. Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon or purchase a t-shirt via Teespring or Shark Robot. Thanks for watching.